Today we're going to commission a MAC36 controller. Now we can find the details of the MAC36, including data sheets, from bmsparts.co.uk website. If I just type in MAC36 here, it should start. Yeah, it does. Now the MAC36 has different point counts. Most common one I use is just 100 points, because the points on the MAC36 itself, the IO, are free, so they don't count to that 100 point. So if I put another input module onto the MAC36 and I don't know, I use MODBUS, I connect up via RS485 rather than IP to it, then naturally 36 of them are going to be used or minused from the 100 point count, but I've still got lots of IO on the MAC36. I've got a MAC36 here, and it's got 16 universal inputs up at the top here, and then it's got 4 digital inputs. This has got the RS485, which I believe is COM1, and this is RS485 COM2, and then you've got your digital outputs here, and which are, there's basically 8 of them, and then you've got 8 analog outputs here. You've got HDMI, you've got 2 USBs, and you've got 2 Ethernet ports. You always connect to this one first. This is Ethernet port 1, so this is the one that you connect to, and out of the factory this is 192.168.1.123. Out of the factory this doesn't have an IP address attached to it. I normally set this to 10.0.0.125 so that I can connect my laptop into there, look at the logic, see what it's doing, and then this port is still connected to the client or to the internet or wherever it's going to, touch screen, so the touch screen can still be used. You can't have both these Ethernet ports on the same IP range, so hence that's why I do 10.0.0.125 for the second one, and the default, I leave the default as 192.168.1.123. Like I said, you can stick an HDMI screen into there if you want to, and this has got it can store the graphics. It's quite powerful. The SD card is here, so that holds all the software, that actually holds the history of the station, and it's protected by a passphrase, which we'll get to in a minute when we're commissioning. Power into here, 24 volts AC or DC, and this is a nice little controller. It really is a nice controller. Another controller, Trace 8000. Now this one doesn't have any IO. It has 2 RS485 ports, and it does have 2 Ethernet ports, and it's also got Wi-Fi as well. Not that we use that, but it can be set to client. That's client, that's off, and yeah, it's good. Does the same as the MAC36, only the MAC36, in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, is far better with the built-in IO, because I've got to add IO to this, so I've got to add another module to this, which then gets more expensive. So I prefer to use this MAC36. So you can go to bmsparts.co.uk, there's all the information there. There's data sheets there as well, and of course there's all the other modules, IO modules, and a lot of other BMS stuff, but we're not interested in that at the moment. We are going to commission a MAC36 Jace controller. So let's open up platform. Now this one that I'm opening up at the moment is already got some software on it. so that's no good to demo a commissioning of it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to remove that software and put it to factory setting. So I presume you can also call this video of showing you how to factory set a MAC36 controller as well. And we're just going to put a clean dist file on there. So we're going to go into the platform, which is like the main operating system. It's Linux BIOS based controller, and we're going to go into distribution file installer, and we're going to select the iSMA MAC36 dist file and the iSMA 2, and we're going to install that onto the system. So as it says up there, as it says up there, it's going to wipe the station clean. I think because I'm playing the video or recording the video, that's why my mouse is jumping around. It's not as responsive as I want it to be. Okay, so that's going to remove all the station data, restores the empty into an N4.8 state. Yeah, my preferred controller is the MAC36. It's really a very small footprint with I/O built on it, web graphics, so everything can be put onto that. Talks BACnet, MODBUS via the RS485 or via IP. You can buy other modules, so if you're doing MBus, you can buy an MBus to RS485 converter. So if you needed to do that on the MBus side of it. The digital inputs, I don't know if I mentioned that. If you're using pulse meters, water meters, gas meter, and it's giving a pulse or electric meter, use the digital inputs. Don't try and use a universal as a digital because it's not fast enough. So all your pulse meters must go onto your digital inputs, and if you want more, then just purchase an iSMA 8i module, and that gives you another 8 more pulse inputs if you need it. Naturally, you've got to set it via the palette that comes with it. You've got to set it to a pulse, and a pulse counter it's called, and not as a digital input. Right, so that's back to factory state. So let's see about commissioning it. So because it's back at factory state, it's using username Tridium and password is Niagara. All lowercase, no capital N's for Niagara, all lowercase. That's a default password, username and password. Now this may not load because it's probably still booting after putting the clean dist file on, but we'll see. Now you may already have a station that you want to already put on, so you've wrote a station already and you want to put it on, or you may not have wrote a station and you just want to commission this ready for a station to go on. There's different modules that you would require. I mean, if you're using MODBUS, then you need to add the MODBUS module. If you're using BACnet, you need to add the BACnet module. And if you've already wrote the station first, then it will automatically select what modules to load. Let's give you an example of that while we wait for that to boot up. So if I go to Tools, and go to new station. And we'll call the station testing, what you would normally call it the site, and it's going to be a new controller station. Next, and set a password. So it wants you to set a password for it. And finish. So I've set a password for admin. So it's opened it up in my drive C, and we've got the temporary file here. So what we're going to do is, we've got the drivers there, which is just a Niagara network. So if I double click on that and click on new, and select iSMA IO network is a good one, so let's select that one first. Go OK, because that's going to be the iSMA IO for the MAC36, and then go new, and I want MODBUS. MODBUS ASIC network, so I'll load that up, and we'll have that on, say, COM1. So what I'm just going to do is just change that and put COM1 on there, and then we'll do new again, and we'll go for back network, I think. So back network. Okay. And we'll have back network as COM2 because I'm going to use RS485 and not IP. COM2. So there's two networks there, and what I'm also going to do in the drivers is I'm going to right click drivers and add a folder for the strategy, for the logic that's not there yet, but let's just add a folder. We'll call it logic, and we'll go into that folder and we'll just put one piece of logic in it. It doesn't have to be the logic that you're using, but by doing that it loads the kit control palette for you, module, when you're commissioning the station. If you don't do that, it doesn't load it, and then you still got to go in later and load it, so you might as well just do it now. So that's that done. I want Vicon Pro as well, but what I'll do is I'll add this to the station, and then we'll show you how to add Vicon Pro and all that lot using the software manager. So I want to save that now, so let me just go to config bog. See how that's black around there? I'm going to right click that, save, and it's gone white. So now I know that's saved, so now I'm going to go back into the station, which we still haven't commissioned yet. It's still back to factory setting, if you remember. We haven't actually logged in since we did a clean disk to it. But we've got a station now called testing that we can load onto that. So let's go into the platform. Tridium Niagara, because it's default, it's factory setting. I should have booted by now. That's booted. Okay, so we accept that. Okay, so next, passphrase. Confirm the passphrase. This just protects your software, or supposed to. There's back doors to change that. Username. I think I'll put that as a capital M. And password. And a hint. And finish. Right, now we can commission it. So platform administration. Commissioning. Really jumping my mouse. Yes, I'm blaming the tools. I'm going to sync with my local system and date. Next, I'm going to install my licenses. Next, you need WB and UX if you're going to edit it while it's live, so it's always wise to make sure you've got both these, UX and WB. You don't need the docs, don't tick the docs. If you want the docs, just read it from your computer. You don't need to load that onto the station, the documents. Next, transfer station. So this is a station that we've just made that I want to transfer, called testing. And then you can call it a new name. I don't know, we'll call it, let's call it Max King. Next. Those are the drivers that's going to load. Modules. We don't want to reinstall the software. Now, as I was saying before, this one, normally, interface 2, normally will be this unticked adapter. So you would normally tick it, and then you can put in another IP address, but make sure it's different to interface 1. So you can't use 192.168. You've got to use something totally different on interface 2. Next. You can make a new user if you want. So we've got one user called Max King. So we can make a new user. Just do user. And password for that user. And comment user. Okay. Next. Finish. So that's loading up the modules that it requires. I've just noticed kit controls loaded up, which is nice. And the BACnet stuff's loaded up, and the MODBUS stuff, drivers loaded up. So it's read basically the file, and it said, oh, you want BACnet? Okay, we're going to put the BACnet module across so you don't have to do it later. Ah, commissioning complete. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? So that's now one commissioned station that you can put your logic onto, your modules, and you're ready to rock and roll. And what we'll do is we'll wait for that to boot up. So let's have a look what it's doing. Let's just first of all, really, this mouse doesn't like me using the recorder with it. So I'm going to go into Application Director. Now, I don't even know, but this is a Linux system. Not that you really can do anything with the Linux system, but that's what the back end of the system is. It's Linux. So starting the station. Now what we'll do, once the station's started, we'll go into the web in services, and we'll make sure that we can use port 80, because if we're using the touchscreen, especially some of them are like Android touchscreens, they don't like secure socket layers. So that's loaded on port 4911. So we'll double click the station. I did double click that. Oh, well, obviously I didn't. That was my phone, not yours, making that noise. Accept. I can't remember my bloody username and password that I put in there, but let's just see it was Max King that we used. Probably was admin. Yeah, it's not definitely not that. Okay, so change. Oh yeah, it defaulted to admin, didn't it? It's not good using admin. You should be able to put your own name in that on that one when you're commissioning it, because everyone uses admin. But that's what they've used, so but we can change that. Right, so now we're in the station. We'll do the web bit first. So we want to expand this and go to services. Config. Services. And scroll down to the web bit. Web service, there we go. Double click that. And where you got HTTP enable as false, select that to true. And then select HTTPS only to false. So we can use both and save. Good. Now what we'll do with the... Tell you what, I'll show you how to do the MSTP, because BACnet this is set up for IP at the moment. So let's just click the local device and change the -1 to a 1. and you don't need to put the location in there if you don't want to, but I normally put something like MSTP panel, wherever it is. I normally put some sort of location in there. So I'll put some MSTP01 for example. Save that. This mouse is doing my head in. Okay, so that's saved. And we need to put MSTP driver in here now, because all we have got, when you look at your BACnet comms and expand it, you will see, come on, network. This is so painful. You've just got IP port in there. See it? And we want MSTP as well as. So open up your palette, which is below. Click on your folder and select BACnet. So BAC. There we go. BACnet. And then go to network ports and take that MSTP port and put it across onto network. Really? This mouse is really pissing me off now. Okay. Now we need to set up the MSTP port. So I think I used it for COM2. So we're going to use COM2 on the Mac and not COM1. COM2. And then of course whatever baud rate it's at, but let's just leave it at 9600 at the moment. And we want to change the network number. So I use 1 for the IP. So I'm going to use 2 on the network number when this mouse decides to do what I am asking it to do. I think before I do another video, I'm going to make sure I sort out this speed of this mouse. It was okay on the other videos I've done, but I have changed my computer to a bigger computer. Okay, so I'm going to right click MSTP port. Now it's done. Right click, actions, enable. Good. Okay, I've got an okay on that now. I'm going to do the same for the IP port. Now it probably won't work, so let's just double click into that first, because I probably need to tell it what adapter to use for the IP. He says, yes. So we'll tell it to use Ethernet 0, which is the 192.168. Save that. Yep, so it's put the IP address up there, and now I can right click it and enable it. Actions, enable. Good. So let's just add some extra modules onto your station that we didn't add when we did it before commissioning. So we go to Platform and Software Manager. I'll show you how to add some extra modules. So I want the email module, probably the dashboard. But what we'll do, if I put Vicon Pro in, that does the email for me automatically without me even ticking it, and a lot of other things. So let's just add Vicon Pro to the station. So we want to go all the way down to the bottom. Lots of long, always is. Here we go. So Vicon. So I'm going to add this one. I'm going to press the control key, and that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one, and go install. It will pop up adding a few more modules, email being one of them. And report and series transform. Series transform is a very good module for reporting. Meters. I like series transform. It is very good for sending stuff out via XLS or CSV spreadsheets. So commit that. It's going to reboot the station. And that's how you add extra modules on that you wanted. Simple. Simples. And that's Max King Station restarting. I think that's it for now. If you want to know anything or to be shown anything with design, pumps, rotation, boilers, or any questions like, oh, I've got 10 pumps here, I want 8 of these pumps to run at the same time, and then I want to be changing over, I can write the logic. I do a lot of logic writing for companies as well as graphics. So there's lots of businesses out there that come to me to write their logic for them, and then they pass it off as theirs, which is fine for me. I still get paid. But if you need to know any specific blocks or anything, any way to do something, then put something in the comments, and I can do a short video and add it up there for you. Okay, I'm going to say bye bye, and have a good one.